Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Bernd Hackmann from the UNFCCC Secretariat, and I would like to welcome you all to the first episode of this new interactive series called NDC Knowledge Portal. It is a short dialogue, online dialogue, hosted by us, by the UNFCCC Secretariat, and we try to have one twice a month. And this NDC Knowledge Portal is a series of discussions where we speak directly with governments, with experts, with NGOs about all different aspects of nationally determined contributions, which are one of the centerpieces of climate action and also of the Paris Agreement. In each of these episodes, one of our experts will be invited to provide a 10-minute overview on actions, challenges, support programs, or insights into recent developments, all linked to NDCs. And today, we are very, very excited to hear about the NDC and also the climate action St Lucia is taking to implement their NDC. Generally, before we start, we want to make this series a very interactive one. So everyone who is joining us online is able to use the chat function to ask questions directly to our presenters. We will also in the future allow everyone to send questions already in advance to our email address, which is ndcs@unfccc.in, for updates on the series, but also for other activities that we are doing here in the Secretariat. Please visit our website, and which is www.unfccc.in. Then you go to the NDC section and then to the NDC Knowledge Portal. There you can also sign up directly for our mailing list to be always informed about what we are doing here. So today we have with us Annette Vatigan-Leo from St Lucia. Annette is Deputy Chief Sustainable Development and Environment Officer in the Department of Sustainable Development in St Lucia, and she's exactly the right person to tell us a little bit more about St Lucia's NDC, about what St Lucia is planning to do in implementing it, and also already about the steps St Lucia is already taken to implement their climate action. Annette holds a Bachelor of Science in Physical Planning and Environmental Resource Development and a Master in Business Administration. And what is really exciting are her years of experience. Annette is doing this for more than 20 years, and for this reason, exactly the right person to talk to. We are very, very happy and proud to have St Lucia as the first one starting this series of webinars, especially because St Lucia in their INDC or in their NDC come forward with really ambitious measures, and also over the course of the last years and also towards Paris was really instrumental in negotiating the Paris Agreement. So therefore, we are very, very happy to have you here with us, Annette. And with that said, I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning to all, or good afternoon, wherever you may be. Just to know that my 20 years was not all spent, or has not been spent entirely in the climate change circles, but 20 years generally across the public sector. So that being said, it is my pleasure to share with you St Lucia's nationally determined contribution. Are you guys hearing me?
Loud and clear, Annette. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just noted someone said that I'm very quiet. Okay. Okay, so it is my pleasure this morning to share with those who are not yet familiar with St Lucia's nationally determined contribution, and just to remind those of you who have been browsing it or using it otherwise. Basically, I'm going to looking at the and to just summarize the implementation challenges. By way of introduction, St Lucia is an artificial island side of the Caribbean. We are on and we are then coastal island with tourism and agriculture. So we can begin by looking at the circumstances primarily in our national energy policy, our sustainable national communication, and at the time the third national communication sustainable energy roadmap. Secondly, as with other oil importing countries, we are vulnerable to any changes in the marketplace, and the impacts are quite significant, and they have been quite significant on our economy. And with respect to fuel consumption, in St Lucia, electricity followed by transport are the two highest consumers of fossil fuel. So all of this pointed to potential interventions that were needed to address the recommendations and concerns based on our perusal and study of the various situations. And so basically this is how we determined the priority sectors for our NDC, mainly energy and electricity generation. We will go further into the details with respect to the three sectors that we selected. Looking first at efficient buildings and appliances. And of course, we want to, with respect to our water distribution network, to have that in a more efficient way. With respect to electricity generation, our aim is to increase the penetration of renewables by 35% and 50% by 2025 and 2030 respectively, according to the mix indicated on your screen. And of course, we need to improve our grid distribution and transmission efficiency. With respect to the transport sector, the intention is to introduce more efficient vehicles and to improve and expand our public transit system. We have a large percentage of our population in the public transport system, and of course a more efficient public transport system means expedited movement of your population, your workers, and of course happy workers point to more productivity in the workplace. So with respect to meeting these targets, some of the areas I'll just quickly summarize with respect to existing efforts which we are expected to build on. Some of these include existing concessions offered that encourage the use of energy efficiency and renewable energy equipment by all, including households and businesses. Currently, there's a waiver on some of the fees normally charged by the Customs Department on imports. Concessions on hybrid vehicles and other vehicles that allow operation on sustainable fuels, including electric vehicles. And this concession was recently extended to increase the uptake. We are looking at geothermal exploration. We're in the pre-feasibility stage. We're, of course, looking at the wind farm as well. Installation of PVs on public buildings. The development of a solar farm, and this initiative includes the island's utility company. We're also looking at the retrofitting of energy efficiency lighting in public buildings, the retrofitting of street lights. This has been actively explored, and just to add, the building of solar charging carports. I just need to indicate here that forestry is notably absent in terms of an intervention within our current NDC, but definitely it is our intention to have this included in the next submission rounds. Mitigation base, but it makes a reference to adaptation efforts for which we have a very active agenda. So in general, the interventions are aimed at achieving our 0.0015% contribution to global emissions. And of course, achieving these targets will position St. Lucia to successfully implement SDG 7. With respect to how we intend to order, be, as I indicated previously, the 16 and 23% GHG emission reduction. We are aiming to set up a comprehensive implementation plan, which will clearly define our strategic initiatives for implementation. And our plan naturally will be consistent with our national circumstances and will identify gaps and required resources, include investment and funding opportunities, and very key for us, highlight awareness raising and stakeholder engagement strategies. Capacity building also is very key for us, and any other relevant components that we will be able to identify. In order, we have so far two needs assessments. One framework partnership through the UNFCCC Regional Coordinating Center, and another one under the German government. And this will help assess the gaps and constraints at the national level and better position St. Lucia to receive appropriate technical and financial support. Of course, we are also enhance our legislative and policy framework. There's a recent national energy transition strategy for St. Lucia, and also there are a few pieces of legislation that will support implementation at the local level. Our partnership, we recently joined the NDCP. This was in 2016, and we envisage that this will sign new partnerships to build on existing ones at all levels. We continue to develop our target sectors and of course source and determine feasible funding opportunities that will have little or no impact on our already stressed economic situation. I'll just move quickly into the challenges for St. Lucia and basically just reflecting on the key focus areas recommended when you're looking at developing your national implementation plan. But for this presentation, I just want to zoom in and sum up our perceived challenges for St. Lucia, the finance, and the MRV areas. NDCs, as we know, have to be country-driven, and governance is critical and must be reflected in strong institutional coordination, political will, as well as stakeholder engagement. And creating an enabling environment from the political level is key. The concern here is that government's priorities might not necessarily be consistent with or support the proposed NDC interventions. So while there is some headway in terms of concessions, this is not guaranteed to be permanent, or even that it will be replaced by equally or more attractive incentives. So it is important for the private sector to be adequately direct local investment towards interventions that will help us to achieve these targets. So governments need to demonstrate that it is in, let's say, a ready mode to work with the private sector in this regard. The National Energy Transition Strategy referred to earlier makes recommendations for the strengthening of policies and legislation to facilitate St. Lucia transitioning to a sustainable energy small island state, so to speak. If this goal does not remain as a priority incorporated in our long-term national plans, especially as the NDC is likely to see the changing of political administrations, then certainly this will become a challenge in achieving our targets. With respect to finance, national budgeting commitment and priorities, again, may not be consistent with or support the proposed interventions. So we are emphasizing, again, the need for continued strong political commitment. This is very important. And even more important is the need for extensive external funding support. Finally, with respect to MRV, driving the NDC process will require adequate institutional capacity, especially for the purposes of MRV, cross-cutting issue. St. Lucia will definitely require assistance in this area as we have a very, well, not very, but a relatively small climate change team. We need to have a robust MRV system that can extend or not only just accommodate NDC implementation, but that can extend to other areas of commitment, such as our SDG implementation. So, in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, this is St. Lucia's NDC, where we are at, how we will move forward, and the challenges that we perceive. Thank you.
Many thanks, Annette. This was really, really great. And we also received a couple of questions, and I have a couple of follow-up questions to you. If you have some more time answering these, that would be great. First one is to clarify, because one of the questions was whether this UNFCCC initiative, the NDC knowledge portal, is similar or the same or related to the NDC partnership knowledge portal. And this is something it is not, but thank you very much for this tip. We may consider like changing the name. And on another note, the NDC partnership will be part of this series in 2 weeks, where we will have a dialogue or discussion with the NDC partnership. Another question, or now for you, Annette. One question that we received is, to which extent is your NDC and also your climate action, to which extent are these linked to your sustainable development plan, like, or yeah, development plan as such?
Basically, with respect to our NDC, we have an economic planning development department, and we work very closely with them, as well as the Ministry of Finance, in ensuring that our NDCs, the targets, the various interventions are reflected in any plan going forward. Already we are beginning to see where within the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development that they are mainstreaming the concerns as they pertain to the NDC. Specifically, I could point to the area of financing in terms of ensuring that we source as best as possible feasible financial support. And the Economic Development and Planning, as well as the Ministry of Finance, they are the ones who spearhead any financial initiatives in this regard. So they, of course, would be taken into consideration the details or the specifics within the NDC, especially as it pertains to financial support, and ensuring that it is reflected at the national level within our budget and within our long-term plan.
Great, thanks. That's really good, and I think this is really, yeah, I think it's really, really important to have this close link and to have it developed together, because that is what we see in many countries and many NDCs, one of the key factors that might lead to a sustained success of it. I have one question here which would like to, I just have to read it. I can't speak and read at the same time. Asking you whether you can just elaborate a little bit more on the MRV challenges that you are facing, and what St. Lucia's key needs would be responding to an enhanced transparency framework under the Paris Agreement.
Okay. One of the challenges that we have long faced in St. Lucia is the issue of information and data management. I believe we are not listening in that regard, because one of the key things that you need in order to carry out your MRV is data, critical data from the relevant agencies. Agencies have, what we've realized, agencies do have a lot of information, but maybe not in the format that is normally required for analysis, etc. And maybe in very, maybe can I say, archaic formats as well, because now we're trying to work as digital as much as possible. So this is one of the challenges that we have with reference to information that reside within other agencies. What is important for us to is to be able to have a central area where we can bring all of this information from the various agencies, public or private agencies, and have them in one central area, properly analyzed and managed. And this is one initiative that St. Lucia is moving forward on with respect to the establishment of an environmental information system. It is going to assist our NEA reporting, and we are looking at extending it to accommodate all reporting requirements for the country with respect to any initiatives that we move forward on. Um, so definitely we are expecting to see some improvement in this and of course enhancement of our MRV mechanisms within the country, enabling agencies to be able to respond effectively to reporting requirements and by extent allow St. Lucia to be more effective as well in terms of complying with adequate reporting and verification in order to measure our progress in the various areas.
Many, many thanks on it. And also what I wanted to share with you is that we actually received many comments on the quality of your presentation, and I think and also your answers are great. Another question that we just received is, how are you securing, like especially your team and your ministry, how are you securing the political buy-in across the St. Lucia government, also at the highest level, but also from the other ministries? You already elaborated you're working together with them. Is it really a joint effort, or is it something you are kind of in a daily struggle to maintain and keep this political momentum and buy-in also in other ministries?
For us, I will begin by indicating that initially when we started the development of our NDC, we had a champion in our former minister who ensured that the process was driven from the highest level with respect to us obtaining political endorsement for the development of our NDC. Secondly, the process by which our NDC was developed, if you recall, I indicated that we were at the time working on certain components of our third national communication report. At the time when the NDC was being developed, we had just completed the GHG inventory and the mitigation assessment components. For this, we had to rely very heavily on other ministries and other agencies outside of the public sector as well. So this gave us a chance in terms of collecting our data, liaising with the various agencies, so they became aware of what we were doing and why we were doing it. We are able to co-opt the assistance of the other agencies primarily through what we have established by Cabinet, the National Climate Change Coordinating Committee. And this consists of representatives from the various ministries. So we use that committee to ensure that we constantly have that kind of relationship with the other ministries, especially those that we rely very heavily on when it comes to climate change related initiatives. So we were able to ensure that we had the buy-in from various agencies. With respect to political buy-in, bearing in mind that we changed political administrations around June of last year, moving from the former administration under which the NDC development was endorsed into a new administration, it was not difficult in the sense that our, especially our minister, is very like-minded with respect to driving the climate change action plan in St. Lucia. So there wasn't that much difficulty, or should I say there wasn't any difficulty in bringing it across with the political administrative change. So we were able to have that smooth transition as it pertains to continuing the implementation of our climate agenda. And as I indicated, we continue to work with the other agencies. We continue to ensure that we involve them in whatever we are doing. So they are fully aware of what is going on. And we do this through the Climate Change Committee I mentioned in terms of keeping them abreast of climate change activities at the local, regional, and international level.
Great, and I think this is really one of the key aspects of a successful NDC implementation. That's something we see all the time in our discussions with countries. Two other questions that we received, they are directly referring to your presentation and also to the focus sectors that you have chosen, or St Lucia has chosen. One is, how did you especially identify like the appliance and building efficiency, and was that done through a study, or why that? And the other one, and maybe I can answer that, is that as an island state, you don't have maritime transport in there. And maybe just to clarify on that question, the Paris Agreement does not include maritime transport, so international transport, and therefore the NDCs also do not include international transport, and which then applies to also the island countries. But yeah, if you could answer on the building and appliances, why you have chosen this, and on which basis that was done, if this is possible.
Okay, sure. Over the years, St. Lucia has ensured that we try to keep abreast of consumer concerns. And as I indicated, electricity is one of the highest consumer of fossil fuel in St. Lucia. In addition to that, um, generally with respect to household electricity consumption, this is something which was also looked into with respect to the changes in prices or the changes in the bills of especially the domestic and commercial consumers. We have a very active St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, and we were able to work with them some year ago, and as well as with the OECS when we looked at these areas of how best we can develop efficiency and standards within the island. So there is actually, from the perspective of the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, an energy efficiency appliance labeling standard, which is applied across the country, and commercial retailers of electrical appliances are required to ensure that they take into consideration the various standards established when importing electrical appliances. I would just like to add that prior to that, also, St. Lucia had undertaken a pilot project whereby the retrofitting of household bulbs was done to more energy efficient bulbs. And this also indicated, subsequent to the pilot project being undertaken, this also indicated a significant reduction in spending at the household level as it pertains to electrical bills. So definitely this is an area that we are focusing on. And with respect to energy efficiency, we initially are focusing on the public sector. Um, One of the hidden, well, not hidden, but unmentioned aims is to reduce the consumption of electricity within government buildings. And we are attempting to do this, as indicated earlier, through the retrofitting of energy efficiency lighting, because we recognize our high energy bills, and this is something that we need to do something about. We are a small economy. We can divert the savings to other or more critical areas that requires attention from the economic standpoint. So briefly, basically, this is one of the reasons why we chose to look at the energy efficient building and appliances, and this is something, as I indicated, that we intend to continue building on.
Many thanks, Annette, and it's really amazing listening to you, and how you can answer all these questions just on the spot. It's really good. I have one more. It's basically a follow-up question to the one on the transport, and that is asking whether you in the future plan to include domestic transport or also fisheries in your NDC.
Definitely, we work very closely with the fisheries department, and they also have indicated that with respect to our fisher folks, there is a high amount of consumption for fuel as well. So definitely, we want to look at more efficient fisher, should I say, fishing boats, appliances. So this is an area that we want to look at as well. And with respect to the domestic vehicles, of course, we intend to move in this area. I did indicate that we have a concession which was recently extended on hybrid vehicles or electric vehicles. These concessions are available to anybody who believe that they want to contribute to, to us reducing our carbon footprint, so to speak, and to be more efficient in their own way with respect to the use of, transportation modes and so forth. We do have a few electric vehicles on islands. There are a few, maybe one or two charging ports also available. And as I indicated with respect to us, one of the initiatives, we are looking at the building of a solar car port. We have approval for that. We have funding for that. I believe it's under the Italian government Ministry of Environment and Sea, something to that effect. I stand corrected on that one. But definitely efficient in terms of the introduction or the of efficient vehicles. It extends from the domestic level to the commercial level. What I can also add is that based on our national energy transition strategy, one of the recommendations pointed to the use of these vehicles within the government fleet of vehicles, the government-owned vehicles. And we definitely will be making some headway under the same Italian project I mentioned. One of the components is the acquisition of about 2 or 3 electric vehicles, and these will be distributed for testing purposes among 2 of the key agencies which have high fuel usage. We have a Ministry of Infrastructure which takes care of our roads and stuff like that. We have the Ministry of the Public Service, which is already, always up and down doing servicing the various agencies. So 2 of these vehicles will be distributed among those agencies so that at least we can see the true utility of the vehicles, and persons will be encouraged, private persons will be encouraged to follow suit, to maybe change over their own vehicles in the near future, or for them to also see how efficient these can be.
Many, many thanks, Annette. And this was it. Our time is up, and also our questions are all answered. I would really very, very much like to thank you for your time, for being the first one, and then for the excellent presentation and excellent answers you provided. It certainly gave a very good overview of your plans, but also of what you're currently doing. And I'm very excited to be here with you and have heard all that. And will certainly follow closely on St Lucia's actions in this regard. One more thing, we are recording this series of webinars, and each webinar will be available on our website afterwards, and together with, of course, the presentation Annette gave today. So with that said, I would like to thank everyone for your patience, and I was just reminded to remind you that next time will be in 2 weeks with the NDC partnership being our guest. Thank you very much, and have a very, very nice afternoon, evening. Thank you. Thank you, Annette.